Hello, viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the Perissos Horizon Chatroom series. I am Patricia Dzifa Mensah-Larkai, a communication and leadership coach, founder of Perissos Horizon. I'm the self-published author of two books entitled Fearless, Fabulous, and Flamboyant, in which I discuss ways in which we can build on our leadership skills and delve deeper into our backgrounds, our upbringing, understand our core values, our principles, and how that shapes our purpose in life. I have a second book entitled Untangling That Tongue, No More Fear of Public Speaking. As the title goes, this will equip you with tools, techniques, and tips to help you improve on your communication skills. Today in the Perissos Horizon chat room, we have a lovely lady joining us all the way from Denver, Colorado, in the United States of America. She is no foreigner. Actually, she is, should I say, my great cousin, but we'll delve into that a bit later. Before I welcome her to join me, let me give you a brief background about her. Our guest for today is Grace Nayo. She is a quality practitioner and a life skills specialist, as well as a consultant. She is the CEO and managing partner at iThrive Support Services, based in Denver, Colorado, in the USA. She has also established a foundation in Ghana named iThrive Autism Foundation. Now, let's go over to Denver and find out from our guest a little bit more about her. Grace, you're welcome into the studio.
Thank you very much. I appreciate having me.
It is lovely to have you. I know you have a
Thank
very
you.
busy schedule, and I'm looking forward to an exciting conversation. Today, our
Thank you.
topic is demystifying wrong perceptions about autism. I know this is a field you are so passionate about. So tell us a bit more about yourself. Growing up, what were some of the things that you saw or experienced or heard about that shaped your mindset and pushed you or pulled you into this field? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Thank you for having me here. Grace Nayo, as I tell friends, is the last of six children on mom's side and eight children on dad's side. So I can say we have a very big family. And Grace happens to be the baby of the family. So you can imagine brothers and sisters, so my siblings always focusing on me and making sure they get the best out of me. Fortunately for us, I'll say both of my parents were educationists. My father, who has moved on to glory, may he rest in peace. He instilled a lot of um, goodness as long as human services is concerned into us. We saw him exhibit it in his environment, family, amongst his own siblings, within his family setup. And Papa was always there for us and taught us a lot of things that I give credit to him for today where I find myself. My mom is a retired educationist and highly religious and spiritual. She's in the counseling business, and so I'll say that we saw our parents reaching out to people a lot, and that indirectly made a lot of impact on our lives. Now, Grace Nayo, I born in Ghana, and I went to St. Anthony's Preparatory School, the school that almost all the kids in the neighborhood, eyed. Moved on to Thomas Secondary School, and then at a point I wanted to be in the health industry, but for some reason I ended up in the finance industry. So working in the non-banking and traditional banking environments, I gathered a lot of managerial experiences thanks to all the managers I had opportunity to work with. And at a point about like a decade, a little bit over a decade, I realized that it wasn't appealing to me anymore. I had had it. At this point, I had married and, start having kids. And but I realized that that was it for me. And being a very challenging person, somebody who really like to get challenged. I went into my core being and I realized that there was something more that appealed to me. And then, by the way, during my school going days, I used to help mom. After mom retired, she set up a daycare. And I used to help her during the holidays. So this was where I realized that the passion for working with kids and people as in general, not just being at the bank and working with figures and consulting and finance happened. And from there, I got opportunity to relocate into the United States. And I wanted to further my education. So what did I do? I went into child daycare management. So Scranton, Pennsylvania. And then right after that, I started focusing on special needs because I had the opportunity to either specialize in Montessori or special needs. But I did a many projects I don't like that really caught my attention. So that's how come I focused on special needs. And then at a point, I decided to attach the Ghana sociocultural activities into what I did. I didn't want to just give all, what I had to United States. So I went back to Ghana for a couple of years, and that was where, the big thing started for me. And since then, I've been in special needs, and I don't regret I did.
Wow. And today I told myself, I know, as we affectionately call you, Mamiya, I said Mamiya loves the color blue. So today I intentionally came in my color blue because I see all the posts, especially when it is Autism Awareness Month.
Yeah.
But just take us a bit further back into history, your background from Ghana. You first of all supported your mom with the daycare, and I am sure it was simply out of volition. Mom is there, probably on holidays or you're back from work, so it became sort of an automatic thing for you to just engage with the children. Was there any particular experience that you gathered in terms of relating to the children that made you realize there was a gap in how children were being educated, especially for those who may have challenges with their uh, body makeup? Let me put it that way.
Yeah. When I was helping mom with her daycare, at that point, I hadn't even heard about special needs. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know, there wasn't exposure for me. But I hadn't moved out of home then. So I helped mom out of a responsibility because now I was still living with my parents. I wasn't paying the bills. I was still schooling. And I thought that it was expected of me to give a hand. So of course, early in the mornings, we used to get up, myself and my cousin Rose, my maternal cousin. I call her my twin in the family. We both lived with mom at that time. And we used to wake up and get the school, because the school was in the house, and get the premises and everything ready. And then we used to receive the early ones, those who were dropped off very early until the teachers came, before we also got out of the house to school or whatever we had to be if it was holidays. And we did help a lot. But personally, I think being the last one of the family, I missed the opportunity of having like younger family members around me. And just by the way, in the line of my cousins, both sides, especially on father's side, where you belong, I happen to be the youngest among my line. All of my cousins, your dad, Uncle Gershon, my sister Bernice, they're all way, way older than me. So I end up being the same age mates with their kids. So I saw myself more of a niece to them rather than a cousin to them. So that's that. I think I didn't have the opportunity of enjoying having younger siblings. And so I took to even watching or babysitting my nieces and my nephews. And then at that point, having those daycare kids coming around, that was where I really enjoyed what is really meant by being like a big sister or, somebody in leadership and control. And I would dance with them, I would jump with them. And so I realized that was a part of me that I things I did effortlessly. It just came like that.
I love the fact that you touch on, doing these things and it came to you effortlessly. And for our viewers who are watching, there's a chapter in my book, Fearless, Fabulous, and Flamboyant, where I touch on the need to actually sit back and reflect on the things that you loved doing whilst you were growing up, the things that you did without a thought, the things that you would love to do all day, even if you weren't paid for, paid for doing it, the things that you were so concerned about in terms of problems that you wanted to, solve and be part of the solution. These are things that you can start looking at and connect those dots, and it helps you to sort of find the next level to step into because it is part of your purpose. And people fail to realize that early. So you realize that
That's right.
being with mom, helping out with the school, it was just endearing you to being with children. It was
Exactly.
helping you build some capacity, which I believe currently is helping you
Oh,
discharge your
sure.
duty credit.
Absolutely.
So now, for our viewers who are watching, tell us what actually made you decide to be with special needs children, because you had the option of Montessori, which I
Yeah.
think from mom's background would have felt like the way to go. What made you turn to special needs?
Special needs. Yeah. Going to special needs. When I did my child care management in uh, Pennsylvania, I had the option of doing like specialized, like I did say earlier, it's specializing in Montessori special. But I remember I did a project. I had done a project in various areas. And one project that really, really, really appealed to me, special needs. During this course, I got the opportunity to research a lot into special needs. That's been over a decade. And I realized that it's so calming, so fulfilling working with kids in this category. And I realized also that Montessori wasn't something that really appealed to me because I think it's teaching kids a style of using the environment or style of, like a free way. But special needs was like, besides what's of the books, you have to put your passion in. You have to, your whole being,
It's
because
like you're
yeah,
empathizing
yeah,
and
you exactly you have to, and it's a holistic thing. You're dealing with everybody. You're dealing with family. You're dealing with parents who are broken. You're dealing with regulations, authorities. You're dealing with yourself, and I I think at this it's just unexplainable. I just felt so comfortable in that environment, and seeing my clients or my students, make the slightest progress, for me it's a boom for me. And I remember one time one of my bosses said, Grace, talking about this particular kid and that little progress, was I saw your face, lit up. And I'm like, I
exactly.
want to work without being persuaded to do it. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want to be there to make sure that, Grace, go one more step to get results. No matter how tired you are, as long as you have you want to believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You want to believe that this child has a place in society, and
Exactly, and they
that
have
your
that
slightest
potential.
input, completes the puzzle. I think that's all I can say.
And
That's what
it
got
just
it for me.
brings that fulfillment. It just brings that fulfillment,
Absolutely.
especially because you're working in your purpose.
Yeah.
And you touch on one critical thing, and that is why our topic today, demystifying the wrong perceptions about autism, is so important, especially in our Ghanaian society.
Mhm.
So parents are broken because the joy of every parent is that after 9 months, they're holding their baby and looking at their monthly or weekly progress, seeing them go through the what we would say the normal growth and development of every child into
Right.
adulthood. So now tell us, what are some of the challenges that such parents are going through, so that those who are viewing and tend to be part of those who are stigmatizing
Mhm.
families affected would have a rethink, because you are dealing with them. You know what they go through and what they tell
Yeah,
you. So let us know how these parents feel in the first place.
right. You're right. Being a mother myself, um, I know the feelings and the expectation after carrying um, your baby for whatever number of months and you go into the labor ward, you have this expectation coming back with um, a complete baby. And I think there's something about myself too that appeals to me in this direction, in the sense that I have been a victim of couple of miscarriages, and I know how it feels like. I've had a feeling of both sides, having had, full time at my baby, and then having had to carry a baby till like almost 7 months, and then you feel the kicks, and the next time you go, you're told that, oh, I'm sorry, you don't, so I kind of like empathize and put myself into order. So the autism itself, we always say, it's a complex developmental condition, and you don't have to see it on the person. You have to interact. It is a challenge that affects the person's communication and the social interaction. Unlike physical challenge, you don't see this about it. That's the painful part of it, because you see parents holding their babies, and sometimes you don't even get to know that there is a problem until you find out the developmental stages, or somebody draws your attention, and you may have to even get the right professional to make diagnosis. It's so hard. It's so difficult. It's heartbreaking to be told that unfortunately your child may not be able to be the doctor that you planned, you intend on. Your child may not be able to go to the mainstream school. As I put it, your child may not be. It's 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 a terrible situation. It is a terrible. I've worked with parents, I've worked with guardians, I've worked with family members, and I put myself into that situation, and I know how it feels like. Besides that, we say autism. With the reason why we say it's a spectrum is that you don't have two cases that are the same. We have various. That is why we personally I do individualized care. I will not put Jane's situation into Joseph's situation. We have people with autism who are on the spectrum, who are nonverbal. We do have those who have their words, but there's still the communication between the brain and um, the bowels, so they can control the bowel movement. So at this point, the general perception that people have about autism is all persons on the spectrum cannot talk, cannot make friends, cannot. It's a perception that has to be really looked at and to be erased.
Yeah.
We
So
have
it's an
persons.
individual affair and
Yes,
needs to be
it's
treated like that
yeah,
in order to
yeah,
help the child make progress.
yeah. And then furthermore, we know that people assume or perception then again that autism can be treated. It is a neural thing. That's your being. That is your made up, your makeup during your developmental stages whilst you're in your mother's womb. Yes, until tomorrow morning, maybe we'll have a research. I will say we've had a cure. But up to now, I haven't come across anybody who says we have a cure. We have programs that helps to manage it and to tap into the um, the specialized skills, because we have persons with autism who have skills that can be enhanced to the benefits of society. And that is the
Yes.
aspect that we keep saying, that we don't want people to keep saying that all autistics are in this category, and excuse my language, they are they good in society. I know persons, and so they are so smart, they have very high functioning skills in certain direction that are really, really beneficial. So we are trying to, kind of minimize or erase that perception, because we have people out there on the spectrum who are doing awesomely good.
Wow. And it is, amazing the works that you're doing, not just in the US where you're based, but also in Ghana. And I know that a lot of the inroads you've made in the US were actually things that you started doing in Ghana.
Yeah.
Especially volunteering your time and your services to support special needs schools. So please touch on that and let us learn more about, how these volunteer opportunities can help sharpen the skills and competencies of those who are watching us and are desirous to also go into this field.
Right. Talking about back in Ghana, I've always said to myself that it was a Ghanaian environment that shaped me up for society until I started traveling outside the country till I relocated. So no matter what, this is a personal thing that I have said to myself over and over again. Grace, you owe whatever you make, you owe your benefits or your profits or your success, you owe a portion to Ghana. So for this, you owe a portion to Ghana, the Ghanaian society. For this reason, I have always done this volunteer work. As soon as I got into special needs, as a matter of fact, even though I studied here, my first place of work was in Ghana. And thanks to Multi Kids, I like to commend them on this Multi Kids Academy. That was what I had applied there 2 years earlier. I did not give up. I saved the card. 2 years later, I picked the card and I made a call, and it did work for me. And that also topped up my, it did confirm that this was the environment I wanted to be. So during the subsequent years, I'll just shop by the resources that I could afford here, ship them back to Ghana. And before I leave for Ghana, I'll put out a banner that any school or any special needs, and I'll put qualifications across. The school has to be ready to be inclusive. I wasn't going to work in any school or any person who would not take in special needs. I made that clear to anybody. So I'll take like 2 schools and then, or 3, and then every week I'll visit like 1 institution, and I did a few individualized cases. So I'll do therapy with them. I'll do ABA. Sometimes just hanging out with them, and then at the end of my stay, I just give out whatever that is left. And I kept in contact with parents. I kept in contact with most of the people I came across with. I remember there was this little boy I worked with, and he's not on the spectrum. He has Down syndrome. And there was a day his mom called me and said, your boy is in the hospital. He won't do anything, and I don't know what to do. And I said, okay. So what did I do? I recorded myself singing his favorite song and doing all the actions that I used to do with him. And I sent to mom. And mom said, that did the trick. He just saw you from his crib. He saw you, and that made him. And I said, thank God that I can make an impact. So that's one of it. And then I also look at it as a holistic thing. It's not just about the children or the person that you are supporting. It's about family. It's about parents. So you have a responsibility to do counseling. You have a big responsibility to do motivation. And you even have a bigger responsibility to let somebody know that there is hope at the end of it. You are not the first, and you are not going to be the last. By so doing, this past Valentine's Day, my foundation in Ghana organized iThrive Gives Back, and we got selected ladies to go and have a free spa paid by the foundation. They have some said we don't even know what we're saying, because we've never had a spa before, we've never had a massage before. And I say, you need it. You work so hard, you need it. Take time off. So we did that, and the ladies who went, oh my God, they were so happy, they were so grateful. Beside that, I think our latest project was just before the close down of government because of COVID-19. We were lucky. The weekend before, we had training in partnership with other 2 or 3 other institutions and special needs in Ghana, funded by iThrive Autism Foundation. So in conjunction or 2 or 3, we had this training, and then it went really good. And our goal is to touch every region in Ghana. Every region in Ghana. We are not going there with our infrastructure. We want somebody who is already succeeding. We want to partner with that person and take intellectual resource to them. We send our people there, we teach, we counsel, and then we move to the next region. So it is our goal that in a very short time, once everything is settled, we hit back on that again and then see which regions and which institution. We do a lot of research into to make sure that you are succeeding, you are doing the right thing. All you need is the intellectual resource, and then we move in there. So voluntarily, that is what I'm doing. I'm still doing counseling, but therapy is such that most of the time, it's not ethical to do it offshore. So when I get the calls and I communicate and I see that, I refer them. I refer
to somebody local.
I refer them to local, and that's it. And I keep checking just to make sure that we are getting results. And as long as we are getting results, that's it. Grace is a happy person.
That's right. And before we leave, for our viewers who are wondering, I mean, that because children with special needs, as you mentioned, you can have somebody who has Down syndrome, somebody who has autism. So are there any others that you can mention so that somebody who is looking to volunteer to support iThrive Foundation in Ghana or to support another organization that is into an aspect supporting special needs children would start learning and researching into it?
Great. That's a good one. When we say special needs, unfortunately, a lot of people think it's just autism, but that's not it. We have cerebral palsy, we have Down syndrome, and I'll tell you what, we even have kids who have multiples. I did work with one kid. She's nonverbal, and she has autism. Here in the United States, I do have a client who has cerebral palsy, he has Down syndrome, he has autism.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have multiples. And even physical challenge is a special need. Because what's quote and unquote you and I can do, the assessment things they cannot do, reaching out to the staircase, going to the top of a building without an elevator or without a ramp, they can do it. And this is where we expect that eventually a society back in Ghana will tap into it and make accommodations for all this. Because we do have so many, and every day something new comes up. New diagnosis comes up every day. So yeah, basically what I can talk about right now that is quite familiar with the immediate society is we have the autism, we have Down syndrome, we have cerebral palsy. That's the one that affects the movements. And then, yeah.
And so what would you tell someone who is probably an architect or somebody who also is part of the infrastructure, developments in Ghana?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about
related to our buildings, our public buildings, or accessing offices, accessing places of convenience, etc. What are some of the things that you will recommend that as we go forward, we implement those things and ensure that intentionally we are creating a supportive environment for parents and children with special needs to be able to have easy access to some of our public places?
Thank you. Very important one. I'm going to talk about 2 things really brief. The first one is volunteerism. We have a lot of unemployment, very high unemployment rates back in Ghana. And it breaks my heart to realize that there are able people out there, able graduates out there. Everybody wants to work in the banking sector. Everybody wants to wear suits. Everybody wants to be in the corporate environment. And I'm speaking to the unemployment youth out there. Working with special needs people is so fulfilling. Take it out of your mind that I have to be in the corporate environment to succeed. We have different environments that we can succeed in. The point is that if you make up your mind that this is the area I want to be and I want to succeed, you will. We have a lot of special need institutions back home. They need hands. take it upon yourself. Go there, volunteer. You never know. Through that, you end up getting your dream job. Because definitely, if you are in there, you will be the first person to be focused on when an opportunity for employment comes up before they go to the next one. And my next area goes to the architects, the people in charge of building, infrastructure. If I'm given the opportunity to make a decision, I think that will be a standard. It will be a standard because you don't want to have somebody get into a building and but for their challenge, they can't access the room or the office that they want to go to. If we can, for the system that we find ourselves in, if we cannot afford an elevator for everybody, we should at least afford a ramp around the building with your wheelchair or, walking slowly, holding onto the road. They should be able to access wherever they want to go to. So these are the two aspects in society that I really want that focus is given to.
Yes. And before, I know our time is almost up, but before we wrap up, I want us to also briefly touch on, especially as we want to demystify the wrong perceptions, briefly touch on parents who are, just being informed about the status of their children regarding not keeping them home away from the right specialists that can actually help them to begin going through certain therapies, etc., so that they improve on their various skills. What would you say to such parents who are watching us?
Like every human being or every society, there are stages of accepting or denying anything. Of course, the first stage is when you are told that this is the situation, this is where you find yourself, your child has this diagnosis, and for that matter, your child is not going to be able to do the things that we all expect our children to do or our siblings to do. Straight away, there's a shock. It is okay. It is okay to experience that shock. It is a human thing. It's fine. Allow them to transit. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes instantaneously, depending on your strength. But it is okay to journey it. And then the realization comes in, and then they go past the denial stage. Yes, they go past the denial stage, and then the acceptance. Eventually, you get to the acceptance. It's like, I remember when I got the phone call that my dad had passed. I was like, no, it can't be possible. I had returned from the States a day before. I didn't even get a chance to speak to him. And then a day or two later, you are told this, but you journey it. Psychologists will tell you it is okay. Allow them to go through it. When they get to the acceptance stage, the reality will set. By that time, they would have calmed down. Give them time to process. So when the reality hits in, they realize that now I have to put strategies together. This is when you have to get in. And when I'm doing counseling with parents who've just had this news, there are times I get tough. There are times I get calm. I study the situation. You have to get tough when you have to get tough. There was a time I told a mother that, hey, sweetheart, we have to put these measures. Remember, you're going to stick to it. It was hard for me to say that, but you observe the person and know how to communicate to them. So you have to accept that this is it. We are in this together. It's not going to go away. So let us tackle it. Let us tackle it from the roots and do what is expected of. Because by that is how we can get success. There are parents who that you realize that you just hit it, you just hit them, you just beat them. That is not the time to scold them and to get tough on them. Give them time to process. It's a psychological thing. When they get to the point that business is there, that's why you have to tell them that, look, I need you to be with this child. I've had to tell one parent that you have 3 house helps. I don't think it's, in the house. It's a big house, beautiful. I said, no, that is so much process for your son. And you're not helping me succeed with my client. I am not the one to tell you how to manage your home. But if we need to, so you and I are in this together. I need to succeed because that is a plus for my career. You need to succeed because you are a mother. My client needs to succeed because he is in it and he has to get quality of life. So listen, having all these workers around you does not help us. He's finding it difficult to process. There are times we've had to go into people's home and ask them to take down the wall hangings in my client's room, or in their child's room. And you don't go, you approach cautiously.
Yeah.
You have to let them understand why this.
Because
That's
it
why
has
I say
aspects that communicates to their brains in a
exactly.
certain way.
Exactly. I mean, even me, I call myself mainstream. I call myself quote unquote a normal person, a language we don't usually like to use. But there are times that you cannot process too much information. That is where we start getting stressed out. So you can imagine persons who have limited room to process too much noise, too much talking, giving them too many things at the same time. You're going to get a meltdown. Your child may be having a meltdown. You have no reason. You can't expect. But we're moving to observe. So that's why sometimes I sit in club meetings with my clients, and then I realize that everybody's talking at the same time. No. Too many visuals. No. Too much light. No. We have to, this is where the precision should come. We have to create an environment that will accommodate this person's in support, because until we do that, we'll always label them as different.
Yes, and that
Yeah,
holistic and individual approach is
exactly. You
what
have to
will work
merge the
for
two.
everyone. Yes.
Exactly.
Wow. You are doing a yeoman's job, and I
We're
know that
trying.
we will have the opportunity to host you once again, probably to give us more details in terms of
Anytime.
the house and the way forward for those that are struggling with issues, even regarding how to get a befitting room for somebody that is sensitive to too much light or too much noise, etc. It has been
Exactly.
a great, time spent with you. I've enjoyed the
Thank you for having me.
conversation and the information you have shared, and I believe that our viewers have learned a thing or two. Let us all together stop the stigma. Let us help parents get connected to the right support groups so that they can go through this journey. It is a journey. It is hard enough to accept the news and to process it. And as a society, we owe it to each other to help them through this process. It has been my pleasure hosting you all. Please do not forget to follow our Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can always get our live notifications when we release a video. For those of you who are looking to purchase the books, Fearless, Fabulous, and Flamboyant, as well as Untangling That Tongue, No More Fear of Public Speaking, please visit Amazon. You can get your Kindle version. On that note, we'll see you next time when we have another studio guest. Take care, Anaya. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.